Hey, what's up you guys? In this video, I'm gonna show you how to rotate the blades on the helical head joiner, some tips and tricks and things to look out for. Stick around and enjoy the video. Let's go. If this is your first time here, my name is Anil from Woodwork. We do carpentry projects in the greater Atlanta area with the spice of woodworking. This is my workshop here. I have a helical head 8-inch joiner. When I purchased this, I left it the way it was. I bought it used, never changed the blades, never rotated the blades. But what I've been noticing is when I'm running my boards through this machine, it's requiring a lot of strength to push the blades through. So I believe the blades are dull now, so they need rotating. After looking at the blades, it looks like only one side has ever been used. Like I said, this is a used machine, so for it to be used with the other owner and myself, especially with the amount of use that I've used this machine for, I think it's time for us to change out the blades. First things first, before we start anything, you want to make sure there is no power going to this machine whatsoever. So we're going to go ahead and get it unplugged before we start anything, and then we're going to start working our way around the cutters. Now I could use a hand tool to loosen these screws. You typically want to use a T20 star bit, but what I'm going to use is this 12-volt brushless drill from Dewalt. I have the setting on 15 so that it doesn't overly torque them when I'm screwing them back in, but this is going to make the process go by super quick, and it doesn't require any real strength from me. If you want to understand these numbers and more about these drills and how they operate, I'm gonna have a link up below. Definitely go check out that video. You'll learn everything you need to know about a drill and how to buy the tools, what to look for, and all that there. So check out that video. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, leave a like, because you know the YouTube algorithm loves it. But let's get back to this video. Now, I don't know how well you can see these little dots on these blades, but I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. So when your helical head machinery or the helical blade comes packaged, typically the orientation of the blades are all in one direction. You can see all the dots are all on the same side. So it's here. Basically, it's in that bottom right corner, here, 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 here. This one was adjusted. It's in this top corner, so probably this blade was nicked. And then all the other ones are the same. Same thing here. Some of these were adjusted. So basically, they actually did switch out or rotate a few of these blades, but you just want to make sure you pay attention to the orientation of where that dot is. And the way I like to move is clockwise. So if it's in this bottom corner, I'm gonna shift it where this dot is here, and then it's gonna end up here. So the next time that I make an adjustment, I'm just gonna move it up here and then there, and then once it gets to this point here, that's when I know it's time to swap out the blades. But right now it looks like most of them are in the factory orientation that it was in when it was first purchased. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. But let me tell you a quick story about this machine. It wasn't all roses and rainbows when I first bought this. I purchased this machine in Noonan, Georgia. I live in Cobb County. Anyone that lives in Atlanta, Georgia, comment down below where you stay. I would love to connect with you. But the owner that had this machine wasn't gonna be able to meet up with me. I would have to drive out to him, which is about an hour and a half away. I was kind of nervous and skeptical of going out to meeting this gentleman to purchase this machine, simply because I didn't know how I was gonna transport the machine back home, nor did I really trust what he had going on. But I was like, hey, you know what? You only live once. Really wanted the machine. It was a phenomenal deal. So I traveled down to him. He was super helpful, super cool guy. His name is, I believe it's Richard. He does a lot of shaker doors, shaker style cabinet doors, but he kind of gave me the rundown on the machine, the things to look for, things that I need to be aware of. And he helped me set it up on my truck, on the bed of my trailer. He showed me how to strap it to the trailer. I wasn't aware of straps and how to actually use them. So he kind of gave me a rundown on that. Real cool guy. As I was bringing the machine home, I was so cautious about the machine falling over, right? As I'm turning and driving on the highway. For an hour and a half, let's say an hour and 23 minutes, stood up straight, was on the trailer. The moment I turned into my neighborhood, the machine fell on its side. And what caught all of the weight of the machine was a head, the on and off switch. This thing snapped like a twig. When I tell you it snapped in half, there was no saving this. This machine sat in my shop for 2.5, 3 months because this piece right here was on back order and I couldn't get it. So I was like, you know what? Instead of ordering a part, let me see if I can go to a steel company and have them just weld it back together. So I called around a few places. Everyone was charging an arm and a leg. And then I stumbled across this steel company just randomly on a side road. Spoke with the owner, and basically he was able to get it fixed for me that same day. Didn't charge me anything. Real cool guy. He was an older gentleman. His only advice to me was, now that it's fixed, go out and make $1 million bucks. So shout out to them. Thank you for fixing this for us. We've done so much projects with this. We haven't made $1 million yet. We're on our way to it, but I'm glad that we were able to get it fixed. It works like a charm, but it's time to change out the blades. Let's do it. So in order to get to all the blades, I'm gonna have to move the fence back just a tad bit. In order to do so, I have to loosen a few screws, and then there's this knob behind here that pulls it backwards. As you can see, it's shifting back. Doing that makes enough room for me to work from this area all the way down to this area without any interferences from the fence. All right, so what I like to do first, I like to just take off at least 3 heads at a time. That way I can work a few of them at once instead of just one at a time. And we see the orientation is all in this corner. So I'm gonna take off these 3, 1, 2, 3, and clean these first and then put them back. All right, so once you remove those, you just give this a nice little brush. So once you clean that off, then I'll take my blow gun and give it a nice blow. It's not gonna get off all the debris and residue, but it gets off enough of it. Also, be mindful that sometimes the blades will get nicked. There may be cracks in your blades, so check out your blades for any nicks or cracks. If you do see that, you might as well just go ahead and replace that blade completely and don't swap it, because it's just gonna continue to crack and then it may even shatter. These blades are fragile. They're super strong when it comes to like the edges and cutting wood, but they're very fragile. If you drop them, if they nick onto any type of metals. Right here, there was probably a screw or something hard in the actual wood that caused that, or it was just a chip that just continued to break and chip out. It's in the corner and right here. So swapping that around, I still have the other 3 sides to work with, but just be mindful that you might see stuff like this in your blades. Comes to cleaning the actual carbide blades, it's a fairly easy process. I use one of these brushes. This is a wire brush, and I don't actually scrape it. I kind of brush it off the side. And all I'm doing is I'm just trying to remove like this like buildup of like wood. It comes off fairly easy. As you can see, you just give it a nice little brush. Like as you can see, there's more of it here. You don't want to scrub it. You more so want to just like brush that debris off, just like that. Once you've brushed all 4 sides, then you take a cloth. You don't scrape it across because you're gonna cut your finger open if you do so. You just kind of brush upward at the blade tip and that'll just clean it off. You just rotate it all 4 sides, clean it off, boom. So now this blade is clean and ready to go back, as you can see. And then what we do is you look at that orientation, that dot, wherever you see that dot, and then you just switch the orientation. So put that back like so. And remember, put them back one at a time. So if you pull off one that's in a different orientation, you know exactly how it's supposed to be structured the next go around. Make sure that setting is at 15. You'll see why I leave it at 15, because it's gonna stop it at its lowest point and it's not gonna torque it anymore. That clicking sound is the drill telling you like, hey, nothing else we could do. And then from that point, we're just gonna go through the line of blades, swap out all of these, and then rotate the blade and do the next row. All right, so now that we have all the blades back in place, we're gonna go ahead and get that plugged in. We're gonna move the fence forward. We're just gonna run a test board through just to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And if so, we're good to go. So what we have here is just a piece of walnut. This is about, I'd say 6-7 inches. The bottom side is a little warped or whatnot. As you can see, if I place it down, it has a little wobble to it. So we're gonna run a couple passes through, see if there's any tension on it. It's usually not the first pass, it's when it gets down to planing the whole surface. That's where we see the tension. And I believe that's due to dull blades. As I was rotating some of the blades, I noticed that they were chipped. So we're gonna run this through and see how it works. Insert cliche hand rub. So after changing the orientation of the blades, one thing I can say is it's a massive difference from when I was using it last week planing some white oak compared to now as I plane this walnut. I mean, I'm able to push it through with ease, and then it's buttery smooth on either sides. Before it was leaving a little bit of tear out and the wood was rough. So now it's super smooth. So what I'll probably do is leave this in the orientation that it's in for at least maybe a year, 6 months, not sure, until I notice that the wood is starting to get a little bumpy. And then I'll change the orientation again. I do have 2 more rotations out of these blades here, and then I'll buy the next batch of blades. These are good to go. Man, this is perfect. Quick, simple process. Make sure you use a drill. Change the torque setting on it so it's not overly drilling it. I find that 15 is the sweet spot. That's kind of like a hand torque in a sense. sense. And just make sure you're paying attention to the orientation that you're twisting the blades, as well as if there's any nicks or chips or if the blades are cracked, you're replacing those automatically. With that being said, check out this next video. Peace.
Hey, that's pretty good.